Welcome to the ABA Productivity and Knowledge Strategy Committee, a 10th of an hour series. Today we're going to focus on compartmentalizing your stress to optimize your success. My name is Ann Collier, and you can see from the alphabet soup that I've got after my name that I've got lots of degrees in education, and I work with a lot of different kinds of clients, including lawyers and law firms. But what's most important is that I write the Thriving Lawyer column in the ABA Law Practice Division magazine. And that's where you can find more information about this and other topics. So sometimes we have this kind of day. You know, everybody wants something from us, we're stressed out, and it feels like we can't do it. Well, I'm here to share with you some very specific, tried and tested strategies for compartmentalizing your stress so that you can optimize your success. So the first thing you need to do is know your warning signs. What do you think, feel, and what do you do when you're stressed out? Do you start cleaning up your desk? Do you feel anxious? Do you get pessimistic? Jot those down for yourself, because you want to use those just like when you see flashers or hazards on the road. You want to use this as a sign so that you can take a step back and use some of your techniques. So what typically causes you stress? Write that down. What we're going to focus on right now are Dr. William Sparks' 9 attributes of actualized leaders, but I'm just going to focus you in on the thinking attributes. That's because if you think objectively, if you hyper-focus, and if you engage in optimal time orientation, you'll be able to easily compartmentalize your stress, improve your confidence, performance, and your sense of renewals. So objectivity is all about looking at things in a way that you don't get tangled up in it. Objectively, looking at yourself objectively. Are you stressed out? What are you capable of doing in the moment? What do you need to do to take care of yourself? What do you need to do to take care of your clients? Hyperfocus is an intense form of mental concentration or visualization focused on a task or activity. And third, we've got optimal time orientation. The people with optimal time orientation, they look at the past, they don't fret, they don't perseverate. It's a lessons learned mindset. They look at the past with satisfaction. They look at the future, or in the present, they have a mindful sense. They pay attention without judgment. They focus on what's really going on. And they don't fret about the future. They're more resilient and they sleep better. All right, so tip number 1, I'm jumping right in, is to speak just the facts. So to practice objectivity, pick objective language. When you're describing a situation, leave out the exaggerations, the pessimism, the snarkiness about it. Speak about it just like the facts, just like a movie camera. Avoid judgment and be concise. That's because what you want to do is get yourself to a place where you're just focusing on solving the problem. Because the more that you are solution focused, the better your results are. Second tip, be objective by being mindful. Curiosity is the antidote to stress. My friend Greta there is helping us out with that. The more curious you are about what's going on, the more you stay out of that place of stress. Figure out what's going on. Ask questions. Third, become a unitasker. It does not work to multitask. Anybody who thinks they can multitask are kidding themselves. You cannot be present on a Zoom call, review a contract, and do your email. You are multi-switching when you do that and typically not getting anything done. Tip 4, hone your authentic listening to improve your hyper-focus and optimal time orientation. Notice when people are stressed, when they're stressed about not having control, they feel vulnerable, they're impatient, they have a sense of urgency and don't take it personally. Personalize your relation. When they overly personalize things or they're indecisive, that's also a sign of stress. Again, you want to listen for what's going on. And when you see others catastrophize, they're pessimistic, they're critical, they're actually really stressed out. And again, when you listen for these things and you listen for needs and this sort of what we call shadow thinking, you can then use coaching to get your colleagues and clients in a better place. But without that authentic listening, you've got none of that. So tip number 5 is to go from overwhelmed to done by bite-sizing big projects. We've all had times when a project looks too big to accomplish. The only thing you can do is break it down into little pieces and work on what suits you in the moment. And this gets to tip number 6, which I think is absolutely critical, and that is to do what you have the bandwidth for. If you're stressed out, that is not a time to engage in complex thinking. It might be a time to do your filing or organize your office or clean up a little bit. But you've got to be objective and judge your thinking and what you're capable of in the moment and do that. And you can increase that bandwidth with thoughtfully scheduled breaks. So even if you don't have a set of finger paints at your desk, go for a little walk. Maybe if you're working at home, maybe this is when you empty the dishwasher, throw in a load of laundry. Maybe you go for a walk outside or do your yoga. Whatever it is, be thoughtful about when you schedule breaks to even accomplish other tasks so that you've got a mental break that allows you to increase that bandwidth. Tip 8, this is absolutely critical. You've got to time box your to-do list. And what this means is take that to-do list and put it on a calendar. Because when it's on a list, it's just it's just a list of things that can stress you out. And because it's not grounded in time. When you put it on a calendar, that's actually planning. And even though you're not getting something done right now, if you're okay with that, as I'm suggesting in tip number 9, you can be okay with it because you know when you're going to get to it. And that's really important. Tip 10, offload your distractions. So things like, emailing yourself when you think of something so you don't forget it, a bedside note, making lists, calendaring things, just so you don't forget them. Tip number 11 is trust your system. So we all have tasks that require a lot of patience, a lot of diligence, that we have to get them right. Develop a system, follow your system, and then trust it. It doesn't make sense to proofread a document 20 times if you're doing it 20 times fast rather than 2 or 3 times really deliberately. For example, my way of proofreading is I read once for flow and then once or twice for typos, and then I find somebody who hasn't been immersed in the document to do that. That's my system, and then I know it's pretty good. Tip 12, decided is done. Don't go back and perseverate over decisions, become obsessed, and worry about it. Move forward, especially if it's something that doesn't matter that much. Some people, myself included, get really stressed out when we have to make a lot of decisions, and then we start to wonder if we made the right decisions, especially if it's not important. Let it go. If there's a reason to go back and revisit, that's fine, but most of the time we've made the best decision we can make with the information we had. So here's my suggestion. I want you to circle the tips that intrigue you and that you're going to use. So go to the Law Practice Magazine March-April issue. Go to my column in the Thriving Lawyer and print it out, or however you like to do these things, and circle what you're going to try. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help.